Hello, and welcome to Ink and Pen Adventures, a show about where you want to go, how to share that when you get back, and where your next adventure will take you, both near and far. In today's episode, we'll introduce Ink and Pen Adventures to you, give you a little history on why we are here, and where we want to go with this. Who are Ink and Pen Adventures? We are Steve and Lori Ann, two travel enthusiasts, photographers, writers, journalers, and artists who work for the state on the side. We are also Disney, Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars fans, to name a few, but more on that later. Where did Ink and Pen come from? A web design class I took years ago. No, really. We had to create a fictional entity to build something around. In brainstorming, I came up with the idea of some of the things that inspired me creatively. Stationery, pens, scrapbooking, creative planning, all things arts and crafts, including sewing and paper crafts, as well as traveling. Traveling was really big on our list. I was also studying to be a travel advisor and get my certificate at the time, which I did. So it came together as Ink and Pen with the idea of starting a travel blog about travel inspiration and documenting those memories. Why did we start a podcast? Why not is the first answer. The second answer is I joined Stacey Lauren's Do the Thing Challenge, which is about starting a podcast and stepping us all the way through the process. I had ideas on another title. It was the same topic of this documenting our adventures, but with a different title, Whiskey and Cupcakes, which I thought was clever, and I still think is clever. But it might be a little too clever because it really didn't say what the podcast was going to be about. When I was sitting in another Start Your Own Podcast Now challenge by Kathy Heller, who I recommend highly if you are in a position to join that class, I realized that it would take more explaining to connect it to the real topic than I wanted to do at any given time. I kind of wanted the title to speak for itself. I also realized that I already owned the perfect name, Ink and Pen, or Ink and Pen Adventures. So it was born out of that name and that podcast challenge. What are we going to do? We're going to regale you with our stories of our trips we've taken, the trips we plan on taking, the trips our friends and family have gone on that have inspired us to travel there as well. We will also share with you how we capture those memories through photography, art journaling, urban sketching, writing, blogging, storytelling, and I will also share it on our website, our Substack, and our social media accounts. It may not be on all of them every time, but it will always be on our social media accounts. What's next? More episodes, really. I have a plan. I may share a little bit of a new project that I tried to start last year, but it didn't really fall into place like I planned, so I think I'm going to attempt it again this year, and it's called Project 52 Ink. In rebuilding the Ink and Pen website, which I did as I started these podcast challenges, I came across a file of photos that I called a slideshow. I had no idea what was in it. They date back to 2002. They go up to 2017. And I'm not entirely sure why they stopped in 2017. My husband and I met in 2002, so that makes sense. And as I scrolled through these photos to pull a gallery together for the website, I realized I have so much material right here at my fingertips for a myriad of things. Gallery posts, blog posts, talking about a trip we took at a certain time. Also, it was material that inspired me to want to improve my urban sketching skills, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been sketching in an urban sketch, loose sketching or loose watercolor off and on for a while. I'm not about clean lines. I'm not about super neat because my hands, I have arthritis in my fingers and it can get a little painful. So I like this loose sketching idea, and urban sketching fits into that really, really well. But I've not been making a daily or weekly or monthly or even regular habit of it. And I forget to take out my sketchbook when I'm sitting in some cool place with a great view or even a mundane item like a coffee cup to sketch. I wanted to make a regular habit, so I committed myself to doing more of it. And then I came across this folder of photos and I had an inspirational moment. What if I picked a photo of the week out of that folder, unless I'd been somewhere that week with something to sketch? I would choose one of those photos, or I would take a photo, I see this as a skill builder and a habit builder, and I'm not really great at that. Sometimes I can't even get to the 21 days it requires, to set up a habit. But I do them all the time, and I keep revisiting. I figured this should take me no more than 15 to 30 minutes, which is what I really want it to do. Although, if you want to join me, and I'll talk about that in a moment, there is no time limit. You can do it as many times as you want. You can do it every week, every month, every day, 5 minutes, 5 hours. It's up to you. I just wanted to say, I am going to attempt. I do not know when this will start, by the way. I am going to attempt a sketch a week, and it's going to be based on a photo from my collection or a place that I've been recently. Doesn't have to be the same week that I do the sketch. My hope is that it will be every week. I've done many daily challenges, and it gets to be a bit much at times. For Project 52 Inc., I figure I can find 15 minutes a week. 15 minutes. That's really not a lot. It's a break at work. It's sitting here not scrolling on Facebook and instead, drawing my microphone, right? That I'm talking into right now. So I think, and if I miss a week, sorry, I lost my place for a moment there. If I miss a week, that's okay. It really is okay. It's no big deal. I might do 2 next week. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll only do 51 weeks. Maybe I'll only do 25 weeks. I just want to get more consistent with it because it is something I do very much enjoy. Now, you may be wondering, what is urban sketching? Technically, I believe the definition has to do with drawing or painting on a location in a city with the goal of capturing that moment. It's called urban sketching because very often it is cityscapes, streets, tree-lined streets, boulevards, rivers running through streets, cafes, buildings, insides of bookstores, things like that. It is different from plein air painting, which tends to be landscape and more pastoral or rural. And urban sketching is about where you're at in your town or your city or the city you are visiting. But here's my interpretation. It can really be anything that you're out and about sketching. You're out of your house, or you're sketching a photo from when you were out of your house, and you're sketching that down. You're capturing that moment because a photo and a watercolor painting are vastly different in feel. The photo, realistic. You can take a simple cup of coffee, even in a plain white mug with nothing on it, on a table in a diner, and you can turn it into a piece of art because you've now put your spin on it. This is what you see when you look at that coffee cup. And to me, that's what urban sketching is all about. What am I seeing? The photo's great and the photo's necessary, but I want to see the interpretation of what I've seen through my eyes on this journey. So I'm going to adapt urban sketching to do my own thing. We often do this. I don't always get out somewhere that's noteworthy or that I feel like sketching or that I've remembered to bring my sketch stuff with. I'm going to do both. I'm going to use the photos and I'm going to take photos. So the way I urban sketch, if you're interested, is that I often start with my blank and I try to do small 4x6 cards or small traveler's notebooks, waterproof books, or even the regular size ones, but they're skinny. I think they're 4.5 inches. So I start with my waterproof ink in my Platinum Preppy fountain pen, which if you have ever used a waterproof ink, this is a carbon ink by Platinum. You want to use it in a pen. If you're not using it regularly, you want to use it in a pen that isn't precious to you, but still has a decent nib because it can clog it up because of the carbon base that makes it waterproof. I used a Platinum Preppy. They are, $3 to $6, maybe $10 if you get a fancy one at Jet Pens, Goulet Pens, even Amazon has them. And you can use as Platinum, it's the same company. You can use the cartridges, that's the word I was looking for, in there. And I don't worry about it clogging it up. It also hasn't clogged up my pen in the about 7 or 8 months that I've had it in there. So far, so good. I get down as many lines as I can in the loose sketching concept where I just I literally sketch it out, but with a pen. And the lines are not always straight. And sometimes they are kind of gesture drawing where they're connected depending on the scene that I'm looking at. Once that's done, as it represents the shapes, I'll fill it in with some watercolor. I do not watercolor to the lines. I don't worry about whether I go over the lines. There are two artists that I love that do this kind of loose sketching, and one is Toby Sketch Loose from the UK, and he's on YouTube, and Tony Burt, who I believe is from Australia. They're the styles I like the best, and which is what inspired me to do this project in the first place. So once I've watercolored it, then I will often go in with a shadow. Sometimes I'll use a pencil, sometimes a water-soluble ink like I think it's the Pilot Iroshizuku. That is more water-soluble, just don't let it dry. And then I can take some water and that turns into a shadow. It looks really cool. And then after that, I will go and do some light line work to define things a little bit more, maybe add in some more details and items like that. And it's done. I did this at Disneyland back in September because I had never done that before and I wanted to, and I needed to have a meeting. So I thought I would sketch while I was having this meeting. And it was really fun. And it took me about 15 minutes and the whole thing was done. And I had captured something I'd never captured before. So that to me was the essence of urban sketching. So I have a small toolkit that I have. I picked up a case from Art Toolkit, and then I put some of my favorite items in there, including my 2 fountain pens that I use for drawing, along with a permanent marker and a pencil and my watercolors. And I will put photos up and do a little blog post on it at some point so that you can see it if you're interested. I try to keep it simple. I'm not really good at minimalism when it comes to supplies. I overpack. I'm getting ready to go to a planner conference and I'm already concerned that I'm totally going to overpack because I'm driving. So I have plenty of room. I don't have to pack it into a suitcase. So I am no expert at urban sketching. I am absolutely a beginner. I'm enthusiastic. I enjoy it. I like what I do. I like the products that I put out. I follow experts, and that's, to me, one of the things that keeps me inspired. I mentioned Toby and I mentioned Tony. And there's others. There's a lot of them out there. I like the way they paint. I like the way they do things. I like the way they teach. I also have a lovely friend who is a really wonderful sketcher and a watercolor artist, and she inspires me all the time. And she has helped me step a little bit further forward because she does this regularly, and I'm so in awe of her ability to set aside the time to do it. So whatever medium you choose, keep it easy. Keep it simple. Not the place for oil paints. Plein air, I believe, would be a much better choice for that. Maybe not even acrylics, just because they take water and time to dry and time to clean up. There are acrylic paint pens. One of the ones I can think of off the top of my head is the Archer and Olive version. They are a journaling company, and she has created these beautiful acrylic paint pens, but I'm not a big fan of acrylic, but I have tried them. They do work really well. So keep it simple. Watercolor is my favorite. Colored pencils, pastels, any of that stuff that you can travel with easily, that doesn't make a huge mess and is easy to pull out really quickly when you're sitting at a cafe, do a quick sketch, and maybe watercolor it later when you get back to your hotel. Paint something. That's the whole point. Sketch something. Whatever it is. Everything counts. The idea, and this is me really talking to myself, so thank you for listening. The idea is for me to get out there and do it, or get out my supplies and do it here. That's why I'm doing this. And if you want to paint along with me, that would be really fun. So follow me on Instagram at Ink and Pen Adventures and look for Project 52 Ink, the hashtag Project 52 Ink. There's a couple up from when I attempted to start this in 2023. I'm looking at possibly relaunching this in February, maybe even on February 1st, which was my dear father's birthday. And he would appreciate an adventure like this. So when it comes to doing this yourself, you can pick a photo. You can go someplace. You can use one of my photos that I post on my Instagram, or as long as, if you do end up doing something public with it, just let them know where you got it from. But you can use one of my photos. You can use one of your photos. You can take a photo. You can even do a Google search or an Unsplash, which is a free photograph repository where, as long as you credit the person who took the photo, you can use the photo for free. It's pretty great. I use it all the time. And if it's someplace you went but you didn't get a photo, you were there. So that kind of counts. Urban sketch anything you want. Post it to Instagram. So once you've done all that and you've posted it to Instagram, tag us at Ink and Pen Adventures and or use the hashtag Project52Ink. Love to see what inspires you. So this is a little bit about who we are, Ink and Pen Adventures, and what we plan to do while we're here. I am certainly glad to have you listening to this. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate that you hung out through the whole thing. So one last thing is that I don't want to just sit here and talk to my computer. And my husband's a little shy. He will join in at some point, but for right now, he's sort of the behind the scenes guy, and he takes me on all these grand adventures. So if you would like to join me on here, and let's talk about where you've been. Maybe you travel, maybe you sketch, maybe you're a creative planner that you use to plan your big adventures. I am also a creative planner, and I'm going to try to find a way to work it in. I would love to talk with you. We're going to put a form up on our site within the next few weeks where you can submit to join me in a conversation, and we can talk about what inspires you and where your next adventure is going to take you. I'm also really, really excited to announce that in the next few weeks, I will have my very own song. Oh my God, I can't even believe I forgot to mention this. I won a contest for Carolee Garrison to write me a song for my podcast. And I got to hear it the other day. And there's a few more steps she has to take, and then it'll be ready to use. I'm so excited. It's about Ink and Pen Adventures. And so, Carolee, if you're listening, big shout out. If you don't know who Carolee is, check her out. She's got a podcast set called Seeking Sunshine. And also, if you're interested in starting a podcast, she has a podcast like a mother, I believe. Fantastic, where she helps people do this very thing. We want to hear your stories. I want to hear your stories, and I want to share them because we're just a couple of people like you doing what we do and wanting to share it out there to the world. With that, I'm done for today. Get out there, go where you want to go, and then share it with us. And as always, bon voyage. Until next time.